Nigerians are expected to seek out the best.
2 words to describe the activity. The Yoruba Unity Forum is conducted.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa.
Presidential
we break the news. Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV Primetime News.
A 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on Core Digest Extra. We're back to here on our discussion segment. We're taking a look at countdown to February elections. Of course, the presidential elections is just about 8 days from now. What exactly are we expecting to see? Joining us to discuss these in the studio with me is Barrister. Of course, let me just do us a favor and introduce yourself. I know you've been here.
Yeah, okay. I'm Tunde Kolaole, legal practitioner, and some of you also refer to me as public affairs. And
of course, I do be here many times.
Severally. So it's good to be here, and thanks for having me. And I also want to say good morning to all the good people of Nigeria who are listening to us. It's a beautiful station. I'm sure lots of people
thank you very much. Thank you.
Useful information and news from this
Thank you very much. Yeah. And I'm sure very soon we're going to open our phone lines and then you talk to us, call in to make your contribution. But let's get straight now, taking a look at the this February. Of course, 8 days from now exactly will be presidential election. A lot of cause to postpone the election. What is the implication of this on Nigeria at a time like this, should election be postponed?
Thank you so much. I have been monitoring and also listening to those comments and a pressure on INEC to postpone the election. You will recall that the presidency has several held meeting with the INEC officials trying to persuade them to postpone the election. You will also recall that the so-called Council of States also met about a few days ago, in which the issue of the coming election was also tabled before them. The council is made up of past presidents, past head of state, the governors, and then attorney general and some of the core ministers of the government. And in their wisdom, they all took the decision or arrived at the decision that the election should go ahead as planned by INEC. You also recollect that some southern leaders, Edwin Clark and all the rest of them, also addressed a press conference a few days ago saying that this election should be postponed. And that if INEC fails to postpone the election, they will organize southern Nigeria to disrupt the election. Some of the allegations against the INEC chairman is that he has been favoring the North in the way and manner he has distributed the PVC, and the certain elements in the North actually bought some laptops for the INEC people to be able to do the data capturing thing that they really did. Now, regarding your questions regarding implications, the implications are very, very enormous in several respects. I start from the perspective of from the candidates who are participating in this election themselves. You find out a lot of them have been going around the country, they have spent millions of naira. A postponement of the elections will mean that they still have to look for more money to continue the campaign until elections are actually held. That means most of them will go into that means some of them will go into borrowing. That means some of them may even peter out. That is, they may fizzle out if they are able to raise further resources to be able to power their campaign. So the momentum of the election will actually die down. And if people have been borrowing money, people have been stealing money to power this campaign or to go around the country and do their campaign, you and I do know that immediately they get into power, if perchance they are able to win the election, one of the first steps they will take is to be able to recoup whatever money they have spent. And where do they recoup it? From the public treasury. So the country will be impoverished, for the country will be the worse for it. The other one is on the psychology of the people. A lot of Nigerians are prepared for these elections, and the momentum is very, very high. If you now say that you are postponing the elections and all that, the chances are that a lot of people will lose interest in the election. Our party will come in, and when next you are holding the election, the voters turnout might actually become very, very low, and that is not too good for us. Again, too, on the businesses, you find businesses of government and then businesses of the organized private sector. All the politicians, especially the people in the Executive and the National Assembly who are managing the affairs of this country, have in the past few months now abandoning the management of the country, the running of the country. All of them are busy doing their campaigning, going around the countries and what have you. That is to tell you, I mean, the implication that governance is at a standstill. And that has enormous implications on the economy. For the organized private sector too, all of them are withholding their investment. For example, we were reading the paper not too long ago that the foreign investors in the Nigerian stock exchange have taken out as much as $5 billion from the Nigerian stock exchange because they are apprehensive of what is going to happen. They are not too sure what direction the pendulum of these elections are going to swing. Right. And if that happens, the implication, and a lot of businessmen who want to come into the country to invest another, everybody is withholding his investment.
So
they
what
would
we're
rather
now,
want to see this election quietly pass over. The voters and other, they know who wins the election, and then they know the direction with the new governments, whichever it goes, are going to follow before they now begin to invest in it. Because the economic implication is enormous.
So okay, before we go to the other side, let's talk more on the business and the impact this will have on the economy. So what you're saying in essence is that at the moment, there's what you call capital flight.
Definitely. There is an enormous capital flight because you and I know both the APC, the PDP, and some of these other political parties and the different warlords that you have in the different zones, the Niger Delta, the Boko Haram, and then of late the OPC and Yoruba. All of them have been fanning embers of hatred. They have been drumming drums of war. And there's no business person who sees what is happening on the Nigerian political landscape today who will be too sure, who would have the confidence to begin to bring his money into the country and say, I want to continue to invest or I want to continue with my business. Everybody is afraid. A lot of people are moving their capital away from the country and trying to put it in some safer havens. And when the elections are over, they probably will bring it back. And if the election does not go the way they think it should go, if peace does not return to the land, of course they stay and then keep their money where the money is, or take it to some other places where there is peace.
Now, looking at the election postponement, the call for postponement of the election, even the US and world powers are watching the Africa's biggest economy, Nigeria, to do something about it. And US have even said, we will refuse to back Nigeria in the fight against Boko Haram if the election is postponed. And just about this morning, there is a statement from the APC presidential candidate Muhammad Buhari that it will be too bad. What do you make of all of this?
All those statements, whether coming from Buhari or coming from the American government, have very, very weighty implications. Somehow the American people have a way of getting information that even those of us who are participants in all these things should not even readily get. I suspect that the American government are aware of the sinister motive of the people in government and their desire to see these elections postponed for their personal interests. It might be because of that, in order to knock them or in order to put pressure on them to continue with the election, in order to encourage them to hold this election. That might be one of the reasons that they are saying, look, if you hold these elections, we would give you this support, and if you do not hold it, we are likely to withdraw our support from you. I will give you an example. In Democratic Republic of Congo, the man there, Kabila, has run his full term of 8 years. And is now taking a bill to the National Assembly for the constitution to be amended so that he can continue to govern. And the American Secretary of State came out and said, look, Mr. Kabila, if you would not amend the constitution, and if you would drop out of this race and another, I'm ready to put $5 million on the table for you as an incentive to go home quietly and then let the country and let some other persons contest these elections and then begin to pilot the affairs of the state. So it's a way to really put pressure on the government to continue with the election, with the coming election. And I think that is rightly said. That is in the right direction because I suspect they have some information that you and I might not have. And that information they do have might be sinister. It may be a way, or they do know that the person in government the party in government do not want to leave. And that if they postpone election, that might give them some other leeway to really begin to manipulate these elections in their own favor. And I don't think that is going to be too useful for this country and for us as a people. For Buhari, I suspect that Buhari is just trying to be modest in what he has said. He meant something deeper than that, because all of them must have been getting the feelers from the field, either in a different campaign or from the media and all that. As regards the direction with the pendulum of these elections, here we go. So if the man thinks that the presidency is trying to shortchange him or trying to undermine his ability to win the elections, of course, he is likely to come out and raise the alarm and say, look, what you are trying to do is not in the best interest of the country. He may also have said what he said in that kind of very mild manner because of the pressure that is also coming from outside Nigeria. You and I will remember that not too long ago, the ICC said that they are monitoring Nigeria, and anybody instigates anybody to commit electoral violence, they are likely to descend on the person as soon as the elections are over and drag them to the Central Criminal Court for trial. And Buhari has been one of such persons whom the people have accused in the past of trying to instigate election violence. I suspect that it is a way not to be seen to be instigating election violence again, that he might say that it will not be too good for this election to be postponed. But deeper in him, and then from his body language, you could see that what the man is saying, that we are not going to tolerate the postponement of this election.
Okay, let's look at some of the things that will, provisions, or what are the things that will allow the sitting governor shift an election or call for a postponement. Is it any law backing such call for postponement? And if there's such a law backing such call for a postponement of election that have been fixed over 1 year or 2 years, that INEC has been postponed, what are some of the things? Is it could be violence or as a result of so and so? I just want us to look at this.
When you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and also the Electoral Act 2011, it says that the election must be held 150 days and not later than 30 days before the handing over to a new government. Okay. The implication is that you have some corridor, some rooms within which to maneuver to conduct the election. And you also recollect in the past that we have about once or two times now, governorship elections or thereabout in some states have been shifted by a few days. What I'm trying to draw is that the Constitution and the Electoral recognizes that there might be some force majeure, some unexpected circumstances that might necessitate shifting or the postponement of an electoral date. One of which is now the challenge that we are facing with the PVC. Okay. So it's not a rigid thing. All that the Electoral Act and the Constitution just says that 150 days or 30 days before the handing over, the elections must be conducted. But be that as it may, we must also realize that when elections are conducted, there are usually people who feel aggrieved. In terms of people who lose the election, who may want to go to the election petition tribunal. And the Electoral Act has also said that most of the election petitions are not that must be disposed of within 180 days of being filed.
Okay, just before we talk about that, if there's going to be, or you talk about challenges such as PVC challenges and all of that. Okay, I think, is this the only challenge that we have at the moment that could be a good reason for the shift in the postponement? And if it is, if it is really the only reason, but is that genuine enough?
Well, honestly speaking, I have looked at all the reasons that have been adduced for the postponing of these elections, and none of the reasons is convincing to me. I will start from outside Nigeria. Look at a country like Afghanistan. That country has been at war for more than 30 years. And not too long ago, they conducted a national election in the place which the whole world monitored, and came out with a resolution that the election was by and large fair and fair. So if a country that has been engulfed in a civil war for the past 30 years went into that kind of election and came out clean, I don't see any reason why Nigeria cannot pull these elections through come next Saturday. The second one is the PVC. I have asked myself severally, are there other countries of the world or that uses permanent voters card? I'm not aware of any. I stand to be corrected. And then what is the essence of a voter's card? What is the essence of a permanent voter's card? Is it not just a means of simply identifying the person who has registered to vote? If it is, why must we make it permanent?
INEC is saying that is the only, during the amendment in 2010, that is the only way you can vote, and that's the only way you will be recognized. Probably that's, for me,
it's untenable. It doesn't hold water. Why do I say this? When we register, as I discovered beyond the PVC that is being given to us now, the computer with which we register also identify our fingerprints.
All right.
Our pictures were also captured in their different so-called DTC machines. The essence of everything is just for us to be able to identify people. And if the PVC is just for the purpose of identification, I would want to say the temporary voters card that was issued to people should also be used alongside the permanent PVC for people to register to vote. Because like I said, it is just a means of identification. If we were fortunate in this country, if people were not being selfish, and if there is no ulterior motive for certain people to make money, for me, there is even no reason whatsoever for us to begin to say we require to have a permanent voters card in this country. For people who die, some other people would have. In fact, registration is a continuous exercise. On a yearly basis, you must continue to register, because as soon as people turn 18 years old, they are eligible to vote, and then you must register them. So, and if we are going to be having a permanent means of identifying people, I thought what we would have done is to design a program, a computer program in such a manner that we could incorporate things like driver's license as a means of identification, things like international passport, and even involve the national identity card scheme into this scheme, so that we have a kind of all-embracing means of identifying the Nigerian people. So if INEC had not been selfish, and if people had advised the country, the INEC properly the way they should be advised, it should have been an holistic thing. To such an extent that when you are registered, you could say with what means do you want to be identified on the day you want to vote. You can say, look, I will give you my international passport. I have already done the national identity card scheme. This is my national identity card scheme number. I could say it's my driver license with which I want to be identified. And so when I walk to the polling booth, and you see my name on the computer, and you punch the computer, and then I tender my either international passport, my driver license, or my national identity card, and then you punch the computer, it will bring out the information, and then you clear.
What you are saying is that these are some other areas that INEC needs to look at instead of PVC.
This wholesale dependency on the PVC will not have been there.
All right.
Secondly, what is wrong with people using the temporary voters card to vote? Was it not issued by INEC? The basic information that you require to identify people is not in those temporary voters card. If they are there, why is INEC going to deny it? The only difference with the permanent PVC is probably that, and I don't think the computer, the DTC machine that they pay, I don't think it has a scheme. If it is possible for them to just slot that into their computer, and then it will print out something to identify people's fingerprints and that, maybe. But for me, I insist. The essence of people having whatever form of, whether PVC or temporary or something, is just to identify people. And I think the temporary voters card is enough means of identification, especially when you know that whoever has registered will have his picture and his fingerprint captured in the computer that INEC is going to display, and that they will be using to get people to vote on that very day. So all these issues, ulabalu about and then insistence on the permanent voters card before people can vote, I suspect is a way to frustrate the Nigerian people from casting their lots come next Saturday.
Barrister, INEC will be meeting with some stakeholders today, and they will be deciding the final date of election. What do you see play out in that meeting? Do you think INEC will heed some group of people's call to postpone, or the presidency's call to postpone the election? What do you see play out?
One, the meeting INEC is holding with the people is totally also unnecessary. Why do I say it's unnecessary? Look at the layers and layers of consultation that INEC has done and the presidency has done in the past few days. The Council of State met. All the governors were there. All the former heads of state and presidency were there. The Attorney General of the Federation was there. The Minister of the Capital Territory, the National Security Advisor. And at that August meeting, you can see all the different stakeholders were there. If they took a decision and said, look, let us go on with this election, why is INEC going to be holding consultation with which other stakeholders are they meeting today or tomorrow that are not already represented in the Council of State meeting that they are there? You also remember that not too long ago, they had meetings with all the different political parties. And the majority of the different political parties, especially the PDP, said, look, we want this election to go on. So what are we talking about? The rancorous voices that we are getting in the country today are from people who have one connections or the other with the president and who, for reasons best known to them, which I don't know, don't want this election to go on. And I think that is too dangerous for the health of the country. When people begin to tie their personal ambition to the future, to the well-being and welfare of the country, your personal ambition should be separated from the future well-being of the entire country.
Okay, Barrister, let me hold you there. Let's quickly take a break. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the discussion continues. And of course, the lines are open, or the line is open for you to call and make your contribution. Let's take a break and I'll be back right after this time out.
Has it been a difficult task for you to purchase exquisite, classic, durable, and sturdy furniture that will last the test of time? Here is good news for you. Purchase high-quality furniture for your household, offices, hotels, and schools at Prince Interior Furnishing and Furniture Company Limited. Office address, Goshen Plaza, Showroom 28, Kubo Furniture Market, AYA, Nyanya Road, Abuja. Telephone 0803-119-1444 or 09291-7482. Email princeemeka240@yahoo.com. info@princeinterior.com. Website www.princeinterior.com. Purchase your furniture at Prince Interior Furnishing and Furniture Company Limited. Classic, strong, exquisite.
As much as we align with the federal government directive not to close our tertiary institutions, but the movement of students should not be restricted, and no lectures should hold, because we have observed that some students did not register on campuses, rather in areas where they reside permanently. So, such students should be allowed to leave the campuses to exercise their voting franchise where they have registered. We are also using this medium to advise any person or group of persons working clandestinely for the postponement of the elections to desist from such actions, as any attempt to shift the dates February 14th and 28th February 2015 for general election will meet with stiff resistance through political and mass actions by our students all across the country.
Let me categorically state here that at no time during the entire 7-hour meeting which I was privileged to attend, the INEC chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, insist that the elections must hold on February 14th and 28th, as published by some electronic and print media today. It did not happen. There was no time that the INEC chairman insisted that the election must be on the 14th and 28th of February. It did not happen. For the avoidance of doubt, Nigerians are hereby assured and reassured with all sense of duty and responsibility that there has never been and never shall be any plan to cancel the 2015 elections for any reason under the act whatsoever. It will not happen. And the May 29th date for the swearing in of the winner of the 2015 election remains sacrosanct. The consideration behind the possibility of change of date is to allow those who may be disenfranchised from voting on the 14th of February to have a window of opportunity to exercise their lawful rights to vote and participate in these elections.
There you have Donyo Okupe there, of course, advisor to the presidency, talking about there was never a time the presidency mount pressure on the INEC to postpone the election. Well, you heard that, Barrister. What do you make of that?
Well,
the only reason he gave is so that people will not be disenfranchised.
Exactly.
That is the only the reason why there might be a call for postponement. Even if at that, do you think that's genuine enough?
Let me say this. When you look at elections around the world, even advanced democracies like the US and Britain, Germany and all that, it is not all eligible voters who at the end of the day will turn out to vote. We have said that we registered 68 point something million voters in a country of 150 million. If out of those 68 million, 48 million have the opportunity to cast their vote, for me, I should think that is above 60%. And if it is above 50%, 60%, I should think that is it's under the presumption of regularity. I think that should be sufficient empowerment of whatever government turns out at the end of the day to win that election. As to Donyo Okupe, his utterances these days, personally, I'm wary, and I tend to take whatever he says with a pinch of salt, because most of his previous utterances, when you match them with the reality on ground, and when you look at what consequently happens, they really don't mirror the reality on ground. You also saw him there speaking for the INEC chairman. I don't think it lies in his mouth to begin to speak for INEC. The INEC chairman is there. He has his own publicity, a chief press secretary, who should ordinarily, when necessary, speak for the INEC chairman.
Which is
he shouldn't be. He shouldn't really be Donyo Okupe speaking for the INEC chairman. No matter what meetings he has been able to attend with the man, no matter what transpired at those meetings. Also, his assurances that the presidency is not behind the pressure to postpone the elections. One, we also tend to take that with a pinch of salt. I have heard Professor Atahiru Jega, especially in the mass media, say, look,
let's quickly pick up this call. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Dankuli from Kaduna.
Okay, Dankuli, good morning. Go ahead and make your contribution. Very fine.
The gentleman still there has made a very useful statement, and I believe he believes in the peace and unity of this country. The issue of election postponement is an issue which has already been faced even before today, because the views of the National Security Advisor to the President, Sambodi Suki, is the view of the presidency. And the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Electoral Act have vested the powers of election and the timetable election on INEC. And INEC has done that more than 7 months ago. So there is no reason why, at this material time, somebody should suggest that elections should be postponed. The government knows that the security implication of not holding this election, because we have seen the June 12th. We have seen the poverty of Abacha. We have seen the Obasanjo poverty. We have seen General Babangida. All these things. Therefore, we should not be taking back. If you can remember, we steered back during the last MPR Abiola may so rest in peace. A gentleman who has been accepted by all Nigerians. Therefore, I'm advising the presidency, because now they have come out, they have told Nigeria what they want, and that's what they have been planning. So there's no civil place. The only since INEC as the constitutionally recognized body have been given the mandate, and they say they are ready, and they call the Council of State, which is advisory, all those federal Nigerians. I think since the Council of State has been sitting, the last sitting they have done, that's the sitting where everybody in Nigeria, even the old ones, look at Shagari, even how he's working there, just for the continued peace and political stability of this country. And these people have advised the presidency that this election should continue. And now they are coming back to rules and to put telling us this and that. Nigerians are now wiser than 22 years ago. I'm advising them that for the continuity and security of this country, this election should go ahead. Those people who are voting, the last election is 22 million people that voted. And now I have distributed more than 24 million. So why are you trying to deceive Nigerians? In control, know that the security report on their table have indicated that they are not going to distribute election. If Nigeria will continue even after February 14. Therefore, I'm calling on them for the peace of this country, so that they cannot plug this country into another crisis, which we are not praying for. And we have been calling on Nigerian youth to remain calm and to be peaceful. And I assure you, believe in me, God is in control. Now you can see even now, Chad, Cameroon, Niger are fighting Boko Haram. When Nigerian troops are running away. So I'm telling you, this government is weak. Sorry to say, it's reality. So we
have to let it go now, Dan quickly, so that all others can make a point and others can call in as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan Kulikuli from Kaduna. He was talking about the continuity and the security of the nation. What do you have to say about that?
I think that is top of the agenda today. There is nobody who is living in this country today, and even most of our friends from outside Nigeria who will not recognize security as the biggest challenge that the country is facing today. And like he said, there is no doubt about it, all the indications are there that the present government is very weak and doesn't have the capacity to really address all the security challenges. And if they have had the opportunity to tackle most of the problems confronting the country and the past 15 years, and also for the presidency in the past 6 years, and they're able to find the solutions, I think it's enough time now for them to pack their bags and baggages and let somebody else try. And like we continue to say, there is no other means of in a democracy such as we are of getting to government other than through the ballot box. They should allow the Nigerian people to exercise their mind, decide who pilots their affairs.
All right.
But you see, this is not new in the history of our country. Like the caller said, each time we have had people in governance, because the place is too juicy. In some other clients in America, people want to...
Hello. Let's quickly pick up this call, Barrister. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. This is Tochukwu from Anambra.
Yeah, Tochukwu from Anambra. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, please, I want to ask a question. I don't know, is anybody privy to the information of the outcome of the Council of State meeting, where Professor Jaga, by his own admission, put on record in writing, hard copy of the situation and the challenges of INEC? Is anybody privy to that information? I want the lawyer your guest to also answer me if he is privy to that information. Because it's on record in writing by Jaga's own admission. About 5-point-something Nigerians can never vote because they want to have their PVC because it has not been printed. In fact, in Univin, the security or the organs of the security agency, by their own admission, said they could not guarantee the safety of life and property of about 44 local governments in the north. Now, the issue is this. You see, when people come up to talk on the point of advantage, maybe because you think that you are in advantage. See, nothing is happening, my brother. And I really hope that at the tail end, the same opposition that is happening for election should go on. We don't be the one tomorrow to come up, to go to court, to challenge the inadequacies of INEC. Because in Nigeria, we have the same time of less integrity. Now, let me just conclude. When there was security issue at the climate of it, at least who said that even if one local government of Nigeria is seized, that it, the whole Nigeria is in trouble. Now, the same Nana Mohammed is saying that we should allow 44 local governments not to participate in the election because he thinks he is on advantage. Now, my brother, let me tell you, whether you like it or not, INEC is not ready for this election. And we will see it. I will still call on digest after the election. I just really hope everybody put his fingers crossed. I watch at this. Things is going. Let me give you another point. Do you know that about 12,000 car dealers is not available in Lagos? About 12,000 gas machines are energy. About 12,000 is not ready now in Lagos. Go and check the information. In writing by Gaga himself. So when you are not privy to some information, you don't know. So my brother, let Nigerians go and ask any question. PDP, my brother, if we don't get it right now, I have the right to vote for Nigeria. And if they don't preclude that right, you don't by any means deny me that right. If not, there will be trouble in this country.
Okay, thank you very much, Tochukwu from Anambra. I'm sure he's talking about some of the information he has as a Nigerian. Well, but what you have to say about it? Do you think INEC is not prepared for this election, just like Tochukwu called from Anambra?
I don't think so. I am sure INEC is prepared for this election.
Okay.
If INEC is not prepared, they would have come out and say it openly. All the press statements, all by Idowu or what is his name, the chief press secretary of the INEC chairman, even the INEC chairman himself, all the things I've read about him, he's moved around some of these places and all the things he has said is that, look, we are prepared for this election. Where Mr. Tochukwu is getting his own information, I really don't understand myself. And I said this, and let's also underline this, that all these issues about card readers are all bumcom. All around nonsense. The essence of the PBC is for people to be identified when they go there to cast their vote. And you have your pictures, their pictures don't tell lies. The names are there. So what other means of identity do we have? It's not even compulsory, it's not even necessary. And I say with all sense of responsibility that this introduction of a permanent PBC is a way for certain people in this country to make money. It is not beneficial to the country at all. We are probably one of the only countries in the world that people continue to have a permanent voter's card that they carry about as if it is a credit card. And then as regards the issue of security and all that, it is not the security people that will tell you, and none of them have even come out. I have not heard the chief of army staff say, look, we cannot guarantee security. I have not seen the police IG.
But we'll talk about relocation of some Nigerians
so
from one part of the country.
That are being
but let's quickly take off this call. And I want us to talk about people relocating from one part of the country to another. But let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? Well, I guess we lost him there.
And let us underline what Mr. Kuli said. He said the other elections before this, he said about 22 million or thereabout voted.
Yeah.
And we already have about 44 million who have collected their
PVC.
Their PVC. Is that not a 50% increase in the number of eligible voters?
Hello, good morning.
So what are we talking about?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Who is calling and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello, Ibrahim from Osogbo.
Yeah, Ibrahim from Osogbo. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
That people like Tochukwu, they are just trying to beat up the speaking. The fact is still in Osogbo, in Osun State here. We've not got all the permanent voters that were not distributed, and yet he conducted elections. If the same thing happened, they conducted elections, they went ahead and conducted. Who can guarantee us that if they even did it next year, that we get 100% voters card distributed? It's not possible. All these people are just there to deceive Nigeria. And security-wise, like this, can they guarantee security in the elections next year? Can they guarantee that they will be security all over the country? It's not possible. So all those things, just put them aside and continue our life. We allow people to dictate our life for us in Nigeria. No. Go ahead and commit our election. This is the election that we are giving to Boko Haram that they have right over our security. We should tell them that they cannot hold us to ransom.
Exactly.
And that's my take on the DOT and the total card, power card. You can give us invest, you cannot finish it. It's not total card. It's not possible.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim from Oshogbo. Well, we're talking about some people relocating from one part of the country to another. Isn't that worrisome?
Extremely worrisome. Extremely worrisome. A lot of people will say we had our independence only about 50 years ago. But I want to disagree. Nigeria has been there for more than 100 years. The amalgamation took place, was it 1914 or when was it? 1914 or thereabout. But before 1914, Nigeria has always been in existence. Go and read your history. There has been the colonial trade that has been bringing people together, intermarriages and what have you. When you go to a place like a Kwara State, there is a town they call Share. That town is half Takpa people, that is the Nupe people, half Yoruba. And they have always lived peacefully together for centuries. The Hausa that you find in the Araba and all that, they have been there for more than 100 years. You go to, I was in Abakaliki one time and I saw some houses that were built with stones. And it is the Yorubas, when you look at your history, you usually build a house with stone. It could have been, it must have been a certain Yoruba had settled in Abakaliki over a long time ago. And in fact, I mean, they took that architecture or something.
Hello, let's just quickly, we'll come back to
when
that.
People now,
let's just quickly take this call. Hello? Yeah, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning. Please, could you turn the volume of your TV set? Please turn it down.
Okay.
Hello?
I've done it.
Okay. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah. My name is Mr. Bende. I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Bende.
I want to contribute to the issue of this election postponement. So,
Go ahead, Bende.
yes. I said my name is Bende.
Okay, Bende. Go ahead.
Bende, B-E-N-D-E.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, my contribution is, even if the election date is shifted from now till next year, Nigerians will still have reasons for not being able to collect their PVCs. So my
your take?
My opinion, my take here is that the election should go on in order to avoid crisis, because some people are waiting for such a situation to cause mayhem in this country. In as much as the INEC has promised Nigerians that they are ready and set to let the election go on 14 2015, let it be abandoned to Nigerians that on 14th February 2015, the election should hold. Please, that is my own contribution. For the sake of peace, for the sake of unity of this country, please, we are begging. We don't want problem. Let PDP know that people are watching. People are seeing them. We are tired of all this frustration from PDP government. Please, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Bendel from Abuja.
So as I was saying, people have been living together peacefully for more than 100 years. And then in 2015, certain people are beating the drums of war. That is making people relocate from one part of the country to the other. It is very, very dangerous for us as a nation. And it's a thing that should be discouraged. And then we should appeal to politicians to moderate their utterances and their body language. And let us also appeal to Nigerians that they should not relocate anywhere. Wherever you find yourself living, that is your home. The Constitution allows you to reside in any part of the country without any molestation. You can own properties there. And I continue to even say this to my friends who are close to me. I say, look, if you're an Igbo man, you're an Hausa man, your child is born in Lagos, your child is a Lagosian, is not an Igbo man or is a Lagos Igbo person. He's an Hausa Lagosian. So long as he's born around here. And if anybody discriminates against such a person, let them take appropriate suits in the court and now challenge such discriminations. So it's the politicians we would appeal to. They are at the bottom of all these things. It's not the ordinary person like you and I. Once they feel the pendulum of certainty is not in their favor, they begin to beat the drums of war, ethnic drums of war, to scare people, scaremongering.
Okay.
But Nigeria should not play into their hands.
Let's quickly take a break. When we come back, of course, we will continue the discussion. And of course, you can call in and make your contribution, also known. We'll take a break on Core Digest Extra. We'll be back in a jiffy.
The gubernatorial election is here again. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, Lagos State Chapter presents Lagos Decides 2015. This is a platform designed to give equal opportunity to all the candidates vying for the post of governor in Lagos State. All candidates are hereby invited to present their respective manifestos to its select audience comprising of PR practitioners, media, and other prominent professionals. Lagos Decides 2015 comes up on Wednesday, 11th February 2015. Time, 11 a.m. Venue, LCCI Event Center, CBD, Alausa Ikeja. Admission is strictly by invitation. For sponsorship details and advert placement, call Joe on 0802 3924 913 or Jola on 0802 366 3429. Proudly supported by MITV, Star FM, 101.5, Galaxy Television, Core TV, Cool TV, Wazobia TV, Nigeria Info, and Frontiers Consulting. The debate will be broadcast and streamed live. NIPR, deepening democratic values.
Glad to have you back. It's still Core Digest Extra. We're talking about countdown to February elections, and of course just 8 days to go for the presidential election. Well, we'll still have with me Barrister in the studio. Thank you for being there all the way. But let's talk again, and of course we talk about security. Really, it's really important. But between now, we're still expecting, a lot of people are expecting that IG will come out to talk about his plan, how what he intends to do in terms of security, manning the polling units, the polling booth, should the election continue, or the election hold. Just like, because of course after the meeting we're going to hear that at the end of today, before the day runs out, whatever the decision INEC will take at that stakeholders meeting, we don't know yet if election is going to be postponed. Because as it is now, a lot of people have called for no postponement of the election. But with the security situation now, between now and next week, what do you think IG or the security bodies in Nigeria should be looking at?
Let me say this. When you look at our electoral history, and most of the time we have had security breaches, it has always been at the instance of the party in power, the dominant party.
All right.
Most times, it has always also been that it is the government in power that always tries to rig election, that has always led to violence. It is not as if the opposition party or the minority party in their different domains too don't sometimes want to lead election. But when you look at 1979, 1983, and all the other previous elections before them, it has always been the party in power that tries to manipulate the elections, and when they try to manipulate the election, it leads to violence. So, if the party in power today will conduct a free and fair election, you can be rest assured, whether it is the army, the soldiers, the navy, and all that, they will have no work to do on the 2 election dates. It is the party in power that must commit itself to guarantee security, and that we are going to have free and fair election and peace in this country. If they are able to do that, I am telling you,
so what you're saying,
the owners does not lie on those
the
people.
President owes Nigeria a duty to ensure.
Oh, absolutely, there is no doubt about that. Absolutely, that is the direction in which we should be going. For the security people, the challenge they might be facing that of neutrality. Most times in this country, when people are appointed as Inspector General of Police or as Chief of Defence Staff or National Security Advisor, they always see their loyalty lying with the person that appoints them. And I'm saying that should not be the case. The loyalty of people in government, especially the security people, is to the Nigerian flag and to the Nigerian people. Government ordinarily will go and government will come. But if you see your role as that to the Nigerian people and the neutral one, guaranteed by the Constitution, then you must be able to administer.
Yeah, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Ahmed speaking.
Yeah, Ahmed, calling from where?
Lagos.
Pardon?
Lagos.
Okay, Ahmed from Lagos. Go ahead with your contribution.
I want to contribute about this postponing the election. What is the mission of postponing the election?
Ahmed, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I don't know what is happening. What is the PDP doing about all this thing? Because they are on the power.
Hello? Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know what is the problem. What is the wrong concern about the postponement? Eh?
Are you still there, Ahmed?
I don't want it to postpone it.
Okay. Go ahead.
The people are collecting their facilities.
Okay, is that your contribution? Is that what you want to say?
Oh, gee, that's my contribution.
Okay, you don't want a postponement of the election.
Okay. I don't want at all.
I'm sure they are hearing you. They probably will heed your call not to postpone it. Thank you very much for calling, Ahmed from Lagos.
Yeah. Let me also say this, that from my own little experience, I've also understood, or I believe, that there is no crime that is committed in this country that the Nigerian security people cannot unravel and bring the people to book. Whether it's armed robbery, whether it's electoral fraud, whether it's contract killing, or whether it's even the Boko Haram challenge. The reasons why we seem not to find solutions to some of these challenges is because of certain vested interests. And most times this vested interest always lies at the corridors of power.
Let's also pick up this call, just before just before you continue. We'll get back to that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Call Digest Extra. Who is calling and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Niger State.
Pardon?
I'm calling from Mina.
Yeah, tell us your name.
My name is Abakar.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead with your contribution.
My contribution is about the election. Why I don't want to postpone the election, please. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Could you speak up, please?
We are ready for the election, please. We don't want to postpone the election, please.
All right.
That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. That's the call from Niger State. A lot of people are calling. They don't want postponement for the election. And somebody called from Kaduna the other time as well. I was talking about security and continuity of the nation. Do you think that might really be something to really look at ahead of the February, this 14th election, talking about violence, in averting violence? Because I remember a statement by APC spokesman Lai Mohammed, and was hailing the decision of the council, the National Council of State, for not heeding the call to postpone the election. And at the end of the day, I quote him, and he said, for averting crisis at a time like this. What do you make of that statement? A lot of people are thinking that if the election is postponed, it might lead to violence, war, or the division of Nigeria, or discontinuity of Nigeria.
Yes, in the sense that the reasons are obvious. When you look at the campaign that is going on today, you find that you require a lot of resources to be effective, and then getting your voice to be heard as a contestant. And you will note that the opposition parties have, when you compare the resources at their disposal with the ones at the disposal of the government of the day, especially the PDP, you will realize that their resources is meager. They are already overstretched. And so when you postpone the elections and all that, what you are trying to do is to really weaken them. When the PDP was trying to start this campaign, when they did their launching, you remember how many billions of naira was raised in one night. And look at the resources that the APC, for example, which is the next strongest party, has been able to raise. Compared to what the PDP is. So The essence is that the PD, the opposition party, will see this as an attempt to undermine, an attempt to frustrate the ability to make an impact come this election. And they might not be able to contain their supporters. They might not be able to contain them if this election is postponed. So it is to avoid the breakdown of law and order. And look at the number of people who have called us today. Out of about 10 people that have called us, basically about 8 of them have said, like, there is no justification for anybody to want to postpone this election. Yeah. So if the ordinary man on the street is thinking this way, you could almost forecast what the consequences of the postponement of the elections will be.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm calling you from Benin, please.
Yeah, what's your name? Tell us your name, please.
My name is Ogbefu. That is my name, please.
Okay. Go ahead, Ogbefu, with your contribution.
Yeah, in this issue of postponement, I won't be surprised at all. That is the trick of the PDP. I discovered that we, the voters, we are ready to vote. But I just want to remind you the tricks that they have used before, and those tricks, I believe, will not work. Because they have seen that those tricks, they have said already, because Nigeria, we are now educated. So many of us are educated. We are wise. And they have said, when are too much for soup, even a blind man will know. You discover about the certificate standard. That one is still going on. They say that way, because we even said that the man that does not even have certificate, we even prefer him than not the man that speaks too much English. And maybe when you even speak too much English, the people out there, the down people there will not even understand you. The other one again is issue of returning the country into Islamic. I mean, my brother, you think that one will happen in this life we are in this country, Nigeria. So all these are from the PDP side. Now they want to still use us, thinking that we are fools, to say that election to be postponed because of what? Even if I don't have voter card, my brother, I will support that the election should hold. Like what this guy there now just said, I thank you so much.
Yeah, Barrister Kola.
Parties,
okay.
Only they are using, only God knows how they got it, where they got it from. Are you not telling them that this whole thing, after running around like this, you are saying they should put it aside? What will that happen if you say they should postpone it? So the election should hold. Even if the election holds, what will happen will always happen. Even if you postpone it to December next year, the election, that is exactly what will happen, is still what will happen. So let it hold at least a week time, which is for Saturday, and let us see the outcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Wefu from Benin. There seems to be more calls for from Nigerians not to postpone this election.
Because part of the challenge will be that if you postpone it, there could also be voter fatigue. Voter fatigue in the sense that a lot of people will lose interest in election, and then when you now ask them to come out, they may not be enthusiastic to come out and vote again. But a lot of people will have to reschedule their plans and whatever they want to do, and they're already planning towards this next Saturday. So there's no justification whatsoever. And more importantly, for the party in power, they should behave like statesmen. The voice of the people is the voice of God. If the ordinary persons on the street say, look, we want this election should go on, INEC has not come out to categorically say, look, we are handicapped, we are not ready, then let it go. There is never a perfect environment for conducting any election anywhere in the world. Just like the callers said, even if you postpone the elections for another 2-6 months and all that, there could be some other challenges that will face the country. To such an extent that we now begin to ask the question again, do you again now postpone the elections? I have cited the example of Afghanistan that has been at war for 30 years, and they conducted a general election not too long ago. Pakistan too is perpetually at war. Pakistan too has been at war now for the past 30 years. They have never at any time, because of that, postponed the elections. All that will require is to maybe stagger the election in some of the places where they have security challenges, and that we can do. And if the security people should pour into the 3 states that are security challenge today and other, you can be rest assured that the Boko Haram people will lie low on those days that the election will hold. And then the election will be conducted peacefully. All that the security people need to show is to go to those states and then begin to massively demonstrate the show of force that they are on ground, that they have the capacity to contain the Boko Haram. And all the elections we have had in the past, especially 2011, in what places did you find the Boko Haram seriously making an impact on the election to thought that they said that the election was not conducted in this place?
Let's just quickly take this final call, Barrister.
It's just a lame excuse.
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Probably our final call for today. Hello?
My name is Mohammed. I'm calling from Niger State.
Hello?
My name is Mohammed.
Okay, Mohammed, calling from Niger State. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm here talking. I was looking at the program on Channel TV, and I was trying to make my own views about the postponement of the election.
All right.
On Court TV. And I was saying the last 4 years I wasn't able to vote because I was younger, a bit younger. But now I've gotten the PVC and I think we are ready to vote. The youth are ready to vote. We don't want anything that will allow us from stopping it from voting. So I think it's okay that we should just go to election. Whether they postpone the election from now to another time, there will still be challenges that the election will face. So that's what I have to say now. Well, I'm happy that I want to vote next year. Some of us that didn't get the chance to vote last year because we were younger. But now I'm more than 18. Some of us are 19 now, some of us are 18 and we have PVC and we're ready to vote. So I think.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed, for calling. Well, that will be our final call out for today. Of course, our time is fast spent. Now, just before we go, Barrister, your parting word. A lot of them seems to be ready this time around. There seems to be an awareness, an awakening within the Nigerian youth, especially within the youth, to vote, to go out and exercise their civil responsibility. Now, but just this election, just before we go, what exactly do you think all the political parties should be looking at now?
Well, the political parties, while they do their campaign, should continue to drum it into the ears of their supporters. That they need to exercise a lot of caution, a lot of restraint, and that they should not breach the peace. It is when we have peace in this country that we can continue as politicians, that we can continue as businessmen, that we can continue our lives as journalists and as lawyers. When there is no peace, the nation will be in disarray and everybody is going to suffer. For the ordinary man of the street, I also want to remind them that they are their own security men. The soldiers, they are the policemen, and all the other security people are just crisis managers. It is when security has broken down that those people come in to manage the security. If the Nigerian people assure themselves that they will ensure that there is peace and tranquility in all the different polling booths in which they vote, in all the community in which they reside, in all the towns in which they live, and all over Nigeria, you can be rest assured that this election will go smoothly without any serious security breach, either in the north, in the south, or in the west, or in the east. So that is my appeal to all Nigerians.
Well, thank you very much, Barrister. You've been fantastic on the show, and that's how far we can go on this segment. When we come back after the break, of course, it will be time for Business Roundup. We'll be back after this time out.
The man on the streets have come to realize that the power to make decisions lies in the hands of the people.
The president is the most guided person in Nigeria. And men getting to him is like, we all know it's a political propaganda, so I don't believe what he said is true.
But they are not just ordinary people.
Up to that time, when you look at Nigeria, Nigeria has been a confluence of a theater of anarchy, confusion, dichotomy, marginalization, and a lot of lamentations have been existing.
They are people of influence.
I'm not happy. How can my brother plan against me to kill me when you know that I'm in power to save you? I protected you to make things good for everybody in Nigeria. Not even I. Everybody in Nigeria.
And they are very, very important.
What we want now is who will salvage Nigeria. We are not interested in tribe or ethnicity or whatever. Who will save Nigeria?
The people, only on Core TV News.